Hi, I'm Catherine Havasi. I'm co-founder and CEO of Luminoso. We help computers understand people better, and we help companies understand their customers better. At the Media Lab, I'm a research affiliate where I run a project called ConceptNet that tries to collect all the information that people know and computers don't and put it in a machine-readable format. I think it probably would surprise you that we didn't start out intending to be a text analytics system. We started out in the late 90s, actually. I was in Marvin Minsky's Society of Mind group as a Europe. And at that point in time, search on the internet had just gotten started. There wasn't really Google as we think of it, and there were this plethora of search engines. And people had this problem where they would go to the search engine, they would type in something like, "My cat is sick," and they would get nothing that would help them solve their problem. And eventually, how this got solved is that people learned how to search differently, and people approach search engines differently. But at the time, one of the things we were trying was to approach this problem by helping the computer understand more about the context in which people were likely to ask questions so they could do search smarter. So at the time, that meant that we need to be able to collect and understand all the things that people know and computers don't. And we can think of that as common sense or world knowledge. The technical name for it is actually common sense. But it's things like relationships between physical objects in the world. It's things like what motivates us and what makes us happy. We needed to collect them. So at the time, we did what we called harnessing the power of bored people on the internet, which would become known as crowdsourcing. And we had a little box, and the box said, "Teach the computer." At the time, I was very enamored with the design work of the little upstart search engine Google, so it had just a little box that looked like Google and a button that said "Teach the computer." And so we started collecting knowledge, and we'd check it through each morning. We say, "Yeah, that's true," or "Yeah, that's not true." And then eventually it caught steam, and we couldn't check everything through, so we had to start coming up with automatic ways to check the knowledge and automatic ways to do other things. As time went on, people were no longer interested in entering knowledge in a box in a computer and not getting anything back from the computer. So from there, we started doing work on what was called games with a purpose. So basically, people would play games, in our case, things like Taboo, or in China and Taiwan, a Tamagotchi pets game. And they would use these games to teach the system while not thinking about it. And towards the end of it, it became clear that people were playing Verbosity, which was the Taboo-like game, and they weren't even thinking about teaching the machine. So we got a whole lot of data from that built on top of our base of data. More recently, we've used that data to build a system that can automatically look at something like Wikipedia and be able to pull out other bits of information it can use to build out its network. So now we have a network with about 17 million concepts, and it's in all different languages. It's really important to be able to capture all these different sort of cultural nuances and different pieces of information across different cultures. If we think about it, how we think of a cat and how somebody on the other side of the world thinks of a cat can be very different. The sort of connotations around whether or not it's cute or whether or not it's sturdy can be different. And the way we describe what we want out of an experience that we have at a hotel or something like that would be vastly different across different languages, not to mention concepts of flavor or even what time dinner is. So you really need to be able to capture that and add it back into the machine for doing a wide variety of stuff. Text analytics is only one of them. Search is another big one. And I think it's interesting we've sort of come full circle with search, because now people picked up Siri on their iPhones and they started talking to it like you talked to the search engines in the 90s, and they were like, Siri, where can I go to go out to eat that would be, would fit my mood? And a lot of Siri is done by, rules and things like that. And it's the same thing. It has to get, to actually bring it to the next level, we're going to have to build something that guesses the user's intentions. Or the same thing could happen, and everyone could start trying to talk differently to their phones. I think it remains to be seen.